All right, here we go. All right. So first we have the Conqueror, scripted by Toby. Yeah, similar to Sederhana is made for the Conqueror's version of the game, so limited to 100 villagers, and you'll use a patch commands. And so this AI was scripted within those limitations and trying to have fun with the creative and see what you can do within those lesser possibilities. And Charon is also a similar AI, scripted by Mr. Elephant, that was originally made just for the Age of Kings version. Similar to the King, which we might see earlier today or later today. And however, the Mr. Elephant has made Charon able to be used on user patch 1.1, and also DE, just like any Age of Kings or Conqueror's AI. But making a version that Charon can use the 1.1 commands really helps a lot with, for example, retreating from town center fire and a few other user patch features. So we do see the Conqueror playing as Vikings. I feel like the other day it was like Aztecs for almost every game, and now we're seeing the Vikings pretty much every game. We'll see if that trend continues. So the Conqueror's placed a lumber camp, and Charon is still on a mill. We also have a chicken Arabia with the hares, which probably won't impact either AI too much, but we'll see. And Charon is one villager ahead because of the immediate loom. The Conqueror went for loom, and so that puts the Conqueror one villager behind. Resuming default behavior. I'm going to see what it chatted before. I'm not sure exactly what the non-default behavior that it was using before was, but it looks like we'll be seeing a Spearman Skirmisher Rush, so some trash units, which probably aren't going to do very well against Charon Swordsman, but we'll see how it goes. And we got a barracks for Charon. So Charon is using the mill to gather from the hares, and also he's using some boar hunting, but it seems like the boar hunting strategic numbers might have misfired a bit, or it caused too many hunters to try and attack the boar. But I believe that is the second boar. Okay, it is the first boar. We'll see what happens with the second one. Yeah, if Charon can get some better luck. And it looks like Charon wasn't able to find the last two goats. Meanwhile, the Conqueror is also missing two goats. And just like Sederhana is not able to, the Conqueror is not able to hunt the boar. So that gives Charon an advantage for sure, even with a poor boar lure like this one here. The Conqueror has found Charon. And it's possible it could grab these goats here. We'll try and watch for that. Alright, second boar is being hunted by Charon, I think. No, just going for the hares. But we might see the second boar hunted here pretty soon. Alright, doesn't look like it. So this villager is carrying food. Almost seems like this villager might be exploring. Same with this one. But this villager will find the goats. So we should see the Conqueror get into feudal age before Charon, but also the Conqueror went for a 28 villager feudal while Charon went for 30. So we'll see if the Conqueror's aggression pays off or not. I'm not sure if it will, but we'll have to see. One big disadvantage for the Conqueror going for any feudal age strategy is that there's no TC avoidance, so a lot of the times the soldiers will just go directly running into the TC and then get shot down. And back in the days before user patch, it was pretty common for AIs to play a lot more passively because of that. There weren't a lot of good fleshing AIs before user patch. Charon's adding an archer range, researching man-at-arms. So we might see Charon starting to train swordsmen here pretty soon. But the Conqueror's already training his army. We got a tower from Charon. It's probably not going to go up because it was discovered. But the villager does have loom. But I think that villager's killed first. Alright, is Charon sending another villager? Looks like Charon is. Yeah, if this villager is not scared away from finishing the tower, that tower will go up pretty quickly, I think. But then the Conqueror's probably just going to send in some spearmen and try to knock it down. Alright, so this villager's persistent, and we should get this tower up. If she's not killed first. Nope, just barely finished it in time. So we might see a lot of these skirmishers killed off by the tower, but these spearmen with their bonus against buildings should eventually take it down. Just one bonus against buildings. But the tower only has one melee armor, so the spearmen get 3 attack against it. Alright, so this tower will go down shortly, but it's already killed 5 units. Killing 5 units, losing 2 villagers, plus the resources for a tower. I think this villager will get discovered. Alright, so that tower is cancelled for good reason. I feel like that tower probably traded evenly resources-wise. But now the Conqueror's army is being sent in toward Charon's base. And Charon's already waiting with several different soldiers. Only a few man-at-arms, it's about even man-at-arms and spearmen. Yeah, the Conqueror's army's not being killed off here. And I wonder if Charon will counterattack immediately. It looks like they're kind of grouping together here, so it kind of looks like an attack. Yep, there we go. And I'm not sure if Charon will use... Well, they're grouped up into a formation, so this is attack groups. Meaning that they won't attack units on the way with like an attack move or patrol command. Alright, so now all the action is over in the Conqueror's base. The Conqueror's switching to archers, which is a better strategy against what Charon is building. But Charon just has such higher military count that it'll be hard for the Conqueror to push back unless Charon's soldiers end up being killed by the TC. Or end up chasing scouts across the map. That's another way to do it. Meanwhile, the Conqueror is a little bit ahead on villagers. Researching the first infantry armor, adding the second archery range. And a huge amount of gold. I don't know if that's just due to going trash units in feudal age, but with the amount of wood that the Conqueror has, okay, it does have a market. So looks like, okay, the Conqueror seems to have some code to trade resources to be able to get up to Castle Age, and that just happened. So looks like both AIs will actually pretty much simultaneously advance to Castle Age, and military numbers are about even now. But that might just be momentary. Let's see. This Charon's army with the man-at-arms should trade pretty effectively against the Conqueror's army. But numbers seem to be working in the Conqueror's favor here. Regarding that villager saying focus on building that tower, I wonder if it could be a combination of allow civilian offense or defense, as well as number civilian militia. Probably not that one, and more so the first two. I think the allow civilian and offense and defense settings are probably what controls how villagers are at constructing buildings. And also I think they'll have a different behavior based on whether they're inside the town or not. But I'm not positive. Charon has long swordsman. Meanwhile, the Conqueror's adding crossbow and late skirmisher. Now, if the Conqueror can add in a decent number of the crossbows, that could do well against Charon's army here. But we'll have to see if the Conqueror can get there. Also researching pikemen, which is... I'm not sure exactly why the Conqueror is going for pikemen here, since it hasn't detected really any cavalry units from Charon, not even a stable. So that must just be like a default unit it's going for. Maybe it's still on the spears and skirmishers strategy and hasn't really switched properly. So Charon's definitely ahead on military again. Still behind on villagers, but if Charon can cause enough damage, that eco difference will go away. Alright, looks like Charon started an attack again. Or maybe not. Alright, now the attack is started again, I think. I wonder if this... Okay. The raiding party taunt was sent, so it probably is a true attack. I was wondering for a bit if it might have been the enemy-sided response distance SN, reacting to units getting attacked. The military difference is huge now for Charon. But the Conqueror's villager numbers are climbing. It does kind of seem like Charon's attacks are on a timer here. A lot of the soldiers moving here are just reacting to other units under attack, probably at a sided response distance. We have some rams added by Charon. Looks like they might be on the way now. 2 rams right here and the 3rd one right here. Another pavilion tent from Charon. I think we saw those in a previous game. And a forward barracks. We got a Magnus and a Conqueror. Let's see how well he can use it. Not very well. Didn't even get a shot off. That's the unfortunate part about just having the default TSA system, is it doesn't usually pick the closest target to attack. We see Charon garrison units in the rams with the SN garrison rams. One of the things that are available if you use attack groups or attack now to attack is the units automatically garrisoned in rams. Alright, so the rams are on the move, as well as the rest of the military. I think at this point we're just waiting for Charon to really do a full attack and cause real damage to the Conqueror's eco, like take out this TC or something like that. But taking out all these villagers instead will also work. It's good to see that Charon, it does have some projectile detection from TCs, which will cause it to retreat its units from the TC, but it looks like Charon does have it turned off. Oh, that's so satisfying to see all the swords attack at the same time. It's nice to see that Mr. Elephant turns that retreating off when it has a big enough advantage. Alright, with the TC down, I think that's GG. Alright, looks like I exited the game too quickly to look at the scores. Hopefully that's fine. We can go on to Arena. Charon remains Goths. Meanwhile, the Conqueror goes either for Chinese or Turks. And let's go. Bam, 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 bam. I'm pretty sure Charon uses the delete building command, which will only delete one building at once. Alright, so we saw Charon get ahead pretty quickly in Arabia just due to his military and Man-at-Arms being a good choice against the Conqueror's trash units. Did the Conqueror tell us which strategy he was going for? Okay, fast castle into unique unit. So we'll see some chickanees. Yeah, as well as a castle. Which on Arena might be a pretty good strategy against what Charon will go for. So we could see a pretty close match this game, or even a different result. Plus, it being Arena will give a bit more time for the Conqueror to develop and not be as vulnerable as he was in the previous game. So I kind of want to see Charon go for the boar hunting here to see what kind of boar hunting behavior Charon has and why it might have been hunted so far away from the TC in the first game. Could have just been one of those cases where maybe the boar runs away from the TC after getting it really close and then all the villagers chase after it. Sometimes it happens even to my own AI. Alright, looks like Charon found all of his geese. Still not boar hunting. Let's just check over to Charon's base, or the Conqueror's base here pretty quickly. Seems to be pretty standard. Still looking for the geese here. So with Charon not having walls left anymore to defend his base, that could be pretty vulnerable. It's got the second gold forward as well as maybe you could consider stone forward. I consider it more back than forward, and the main gold is back as well as some chickens and the forage bushes. So Charon's base is actually pretty well defended. Meanwhile, for the most part, the Conqueror's base here is pretty easy to defend. Not a lot of resources right next to the walls that it could be in range of anything. But most of the resources are either to the side or forward, none really in back. And still missing these two geese somehow. As well as these two up in front. This scout should find them. Alright, so we got the... Okay, looks like Charon's settings just tell a whole bunch of hunters to attack the boar at the same time. I wonder if that could be due to some sort of, like, minimum number boar lures. Or lure group size, whatever the SN is called. Might need some refinement there to hunt the boar as well. So make sure to like set that to 1 and then eventually set it to a higher number. Maybe when the The live bore drop distance research last small number for when the bore is near the TC. Unfortunately, I think the drop site min distance live bore that has been bugged in DE. That doesn't calculate it properly. So it might be hard for an AI without DEC to know when the bore is close to the TC. Alright, so we got these villagers going for the chickens for Charon. The Conqueror is adding a second mining camp on gold. I wonder if that is intentional or if one of those is supposed to be on stone. Yeah, I feel like the second one's supposed to be on stone. I don't know exactly how the Conqueror tries to choose which mining camp it goes for. I think the classic way is to set the gold and stone drop site distance SNs, but I think you have to make sure to set those and then leave them until the building is placed after this script passes over, and then once it's placed, then you can switch them back to a different setting. I think I've seen some AIs that will set those strategic numbers, add the building command, and then immediately set those SNs back to their default values, thinking that it'll use whatever SNs settings are current when the build order is in the AI, rather than what the strategic number settings are at the end of the script pass. But we're also seeing Charon gather from the forest here. Unfortunately, it might take them a while to retask to go back to the slumber camp. Those trees might have to get gathered first. Both the eyes are now in feudal age. And Charon not really adding a whole lot at this point, just due to lacking wood. But the Conqueror is adding a market and already added a blacksmith. A bunch of idle TC time, unfortunately, for the Conqueror. Which is kind of confusing to me. Does the Conqueror have Loom? Yeah, so the Conqueror has Loom. Okay, that's why. The Conqueror is Chinese. So a lot of the idle TC time is probably at the very beginning of the game when the Chinese are struggling to get food to train villagers. But I was trying to figure out how the Conqueror could have that much idle TC time and have roughly equal villager numbers. Alright, so the Conqueror is going up to Castle Age. While Charon has the resources, but not the buildings. Got a blacksmith being created, and we got the archer range. So Charon should start researching it pretty soon, but we'll be about a minute behind the Conqueror. But we got man-at-arms coming. And the Conqueror still hasn't built another mining camp for the stone. I think I actually know why the mining camp was built by the gold here. Is that the Conqueror wasn't able to change the SN drop site separation distance. So that would have been kept at the default 10. And so this is the closest that the mining camp could be for the stone, which I'm not sure this actually might... It's 2 tiles away from the stone, which is usually not considered an acceptable position for a mining camp, because the game will always try to build it adjacent or 1 tile away. So this could just be like a mining camp, just like built in a random spot and just got really lucky. Either way, the Conqueror's already building a castle. It might have been delayed a bit just because of the slow stone gathering. But Charon is already building some towers. And I'm not sure if these towers will eventually approach the Conqueror's walls or not. It might just end up being a clump of towers in one spot and not really do anything. But they could end up being in range of some lumberjacks that are gathering at this lumber camp. So we'll see. Yeah, Charon also struggling to gather stone. Hasn't built a mining camp here, probably just because of lack of wood. So chicken training has started for the Conqueror. Already has the feudal age upgrades for them. We've got some monks gathering relics. But it looks like Charon, maybe they're going to gather around this monastery. Okay, yeah. I was thinking they might be starting to attack, but doesn't look like it. We'll see if this monastery is early enough for Charon to get at least 1 relic. It has enough gold to train a monk.
All hail, King of the Losers!
Now, if you're not aware, AI taunts are sometimes misaligned with the audio messages. So the taunt, "I need a monk." Raiding party is the correct, seems to have the correct sound effect, but some of them are not assigned correctly, so Charon just puts the parentheses for what taunt it's trying to send. We got a bear attack. Yeah, and so this is interesting mill spot for the Charon. It might end up working out, except for this farm. I probably wouldn't put a farm here if I was a normal player. It's going to be pretty vulnerable. Alright, but we've got an attack from the Conqueror against these towers, which I'm sure Toby wishes didn't happen. And also Charon has a late skirmishers, so it did detect the Conqueror's strategy properly, I think. It looks like this attack might be driven off by Charon. He has superior military numbers. Also got a conversion here. And a monk kill. So we got 1 relic for Charon, and then I think we got 3. There's probably monk carrying a relic somewhere, yeah. So the Conqueror should have 4. A few of Charon's units got inside the Conqueror's base, but they'll probably get killed pretty quickly. And Charon, because it's so not a DE AI, is made for either the Age of Kings or user patch 1.1. It won't research Gambesons or Arson. Which means that they won't be as effective against the Chukinus as they could be. And also notably, Charon is missing fletching at this point, as well as the any of the archer armor upgrades. So these Chukinu will actually outrange the elite skirmishers because of having Bodkin. But it's hard to be back in opponent's army if you have 10 units and they have 38. So the lack of upgrades might not matter too much. We just saw Ram go down, so that's a lot of resources lost. Ah, interesting. So it looks like the Conqueror has some code to switch from was probably TSA into using attack grips to target towers. We got a second castle being constructed here with just one villager because the Conqueror's AIs could only have one builder per building. We'll see if it gets detected by Charon. Because if this villager gets attacked at any point, it should cancel the building. Because back in the Conquerors, you also couldn't prevent the AI from canceling buildings if the villager was attacked. Where in user patch and DE, you can set a percentage of completion to turn that feature off. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot that Goths don't get Gambesons or Arson, so not having those attacks available to it because of not being scripted for DE, yeah, it actually doesn't matter a whole lot for Goths. But these longswords when attacking the gates will matter for the Conqueror. But the second castle does go up, and just in time, I think. But it's good to see that the Charon is able to target the walls properly. There's some AIs that will get stuck trying to find ways to get in, but never attack the walls. Yeah, in fact, it looks like Charon's working too hard to attack the walls. Another thing to watch for is that Charon's up to 65 villagers, where the Conqueror has 53. For the Age of Kings version, Charon would be limited to 50 villagers, but now it doesn't have that villager limit anymore because of being able to use user patch 1.1. Meanwhile, the Conqueror will be limited to 100 villagers. So if Charon can eventually boom past 100 villagers, then its strength should just keep growing throughout the game. But it looks like the Conqueror is able to fend off this attack for the moment anyway. Got a second TC outside the walls for the Conqueror. Unfortunately, the Conqueror doesn't have the ability to add TCs to build them next to resources. They're just placed like ordinary buildings. So that's why it feels like this TC is out in the middle of nowhere. And unfortunately, this mining camp is also out in the middle of nowhere. That usually means that the AI doesn't believe it has any available spot to build that mining camp. And I'm guessing that's probably due to the drop site separation distance. The normal valid location is too far away from this stone to build one right here. This gold is too close to this TC to build one on this gold. It could build a mining camp on this stone, I think. I'm not sure why I didn't place one there. Maybe it's too close to these towers, and it could be in range. I'm not sure. It's also possible that the Conqueror wanted a gold mining camp, and the the only available gold that it could build another mining camp nearby was this one or this one, and maybe the mining camp max distance is set too low to be able to build one here, so it built in its closest spot it could, which is right here. We got a ram train coming to attack the towers, and Charon is going to be caught off guard here, but sending his swordsman to help defend against the rams. One tower goes down, and a whole bunch of chicken coming to help the rams. 2 rams down, 1 ram down, 3 rams down, 1 left here, and 1 joining the attack. Alright, second tower went down, and third tower almost went down, but looks like this ram might get distracted here. We got another TC here, built in a better spot. Alright, then this tower should go down, I think. So Charon has 66 military, while the Conqueror has 13, and Charon also has better military. So I think we just need to wait for Charon to start attacking again. Alright, that ram went down. I think this one will go down as well. So the Conqueror took care of some of the towers that were in his face, but now a whole army is in his face instead. And this better place CC is it's closer to the forest, but it's also built in harm's way. But it looks like Charon maybe decided that it's time to stop the attack, or maybe decided that it doesn't have enough soldiers to be able to attack this TC safely. And also that Charon is researching Imperial Age, so it can be wise to cancel an attack to allow Imperial Age to get researched and save your units so that they can be upgraded to the Imperial Age versions. It's always a huge bummer to start an attack, then Imperial Age is research and you start researching the upgrades, but you have no military left that are affected by them. Looks like Charon added some pikemen. They're not going to be the best choice against the Conqueror's army. Alright, so some of the rams weren't able to take out the tower, so maybe these villagers will be enough. Alright, 2-handed swordsman for Charon. I don't think the elite upgrade for the Huskarls is in yet, correct. Alright, but Champion is on the way. And hopefully once Champion is in, Charon will go all in and start attacking. Really interesting palisade placements. It seems like a really long way away from the TC, Then maybe this is just the like default perimeter 2. Because I don't think Charon would include UP build line for walls. Charon's added the trebuchet, which should be really helpful against the castles. But it does look like the army's not being super focused on any one particular target. But it's definitely killing off a whole bunch of villagers. Yeah, it does look like the Conqueror could benefit from some resource trading at the market. But it does have a market, and used the market earlier in the game to advance the Castle Age, so I'm not sure why they're not being used now. Maybe the Conqueror just doesn't have rules to trade excess resources in Imperial Age. Looks like these units are trying to target the castle, but you can't path to it through the gate. But thankfully they are running through here to try to attack it instead. Yeah, the trebuchet doesn't need any pathing help. It can attack all the way from right here. But yeah, I'm gonna call the game once this castle's destroyed. I don't even notice how low the Conqueror's villager numbers were. And there we go, the castle crumbles. So, good game for Charon. Like the set 2-0. So it looks like those towers for Charon were a key, at least for being able to help stop this initial attack from the Conqueror. And the Conqueror was never able to really push back after that point.